Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture. Today we're going to discuss War of the Roses. It is a very interesting topic and I hope you will enjoy it. So since it's a video lecture about history, I advise you to make yourself a tea, take out your biscuits and just enjoy by listening. I'm sorry for the noises. So today's my audience is 7th grade learners from 20th high school. Let's start our topic. There are a few wars in world military history that have almost poetic names. One of these was the War of the Roses. In fact, the term War of the Roses first appeared in 1762 by the philosopher David Hume in his book named History of the England. In 1453, the 100 Years' War between England and France ended. The English king Henry VI, Lancaster, lost all possessions in continental Europe except for the small city of Calais. His policy didn't have the support of the aristocracy, especially since the king was under the influence of Queen Margaret of Anjou, an ambitious woman, and maybe her lovers. Richard, Duke of York, became the leader of the opposition to the ruling Lancaster Dynasty. He, like the Henry VI, was descendant of King Edward III, who ruled England in the middle of the 14th century. Even more so, if King Henry VI is a descendant of King Edward III through his fourth and last son, then Richard, Duke of York, was a descendant through his third son. So it means his rights to the throne couldn't be challenged by anyone. The first battle of this very war was held in 1455 and was won by Richard of York, and the Parliament of England declared him heir of the throne of England. But 5 years later, the Battle of Wakefield took place. It was one of the key battles of the War of the Roses. Richard sent for help to his son Edward, eldest son, but didn't wait for them. It's believed that when York engaged the Lancastrians from the front, others attacked him from the flank, cutting him off from the castle. As a result, York's army was defeated, and he himself was killed during the battle. His head in a paper crown was put on public display. The rebellion was continued by his eldest son Edward, and he defeated the Queen's army. In 1461, he was crowned in London and remembered in history as King Edward IV. When he finally got the throne, instead of marrying a French princess, he took as his wife a widow of humble origin with 2 children who was 3 years older than him. His name is Elizabeth Woodville. Everyone against this union. So in 1470, people again rised up against Edward himself. The rebellious man was his uncle, the Earl Warwick, the Queen and her son Prince Edward of Wales. But in the battles of 1471, the Earl Warwick and Prince Edward of Lancaster died, and soon Henry VI himself died, which essentially meant the end of this Lancaster dynasty. Edward IV ruled England until 1463. After his death, the throne was inherited by Edward V, who entered the history of the country as one of the 3 uncrowned monarchs. As you can see, they have very problem with originality because every one of them are called either Henry or Edward. Yes. As Edward died, Edward I died, his brother Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, was appointed to be protector of the kingdom. And suddenly, a woman appeared from nowhere who claimed that in 1465 she was engaged to King Edward IV, and their engagement wasn't dissolved, which makes all of the Edward's sons and daughters with Elizabeth Woodville illegitimate. And that's how Richard, Duke of Gloucester, became a King Richard III. In 1485, Henry Tudor, another descendant of King Edward III, oh my god, how many kids he have, raised another rebellion against Richard III. And he was supported by France because Richard was a very strong king, and it was possible that he would return all the possessions of England in France, and King of France didn't want it. Richard met Henry's army on August 22 near the town of Bosworth. Henry had fewer troops, but he managed to take a more good position in the battlefield. During battle, Richard, surrounded by 800 horsemen of royal guard, tried to crash into a square of foot soldiers surrounding Henry, but having already slaughtered his knife and being close to Henry himself, Richard Dutchman was driven back by the unexpected intervention of Lord Stanley. Lord Stanley was the Lord Commander of King Richard's army, but at the same time he was stepfather of Henry Tudor. So at the last moment he decided to betray King Richard. So Richard's men offered him to run away, but he refused. He shouted, When all his knights fell, Richard continued to fight alone until he was killed. He was brutally murdered. He won, and of course, Henry Tudor won Battle of Bosworth and was crowned in this very battlefield as Henry VII Tudor. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this very lecture. If you have any question, it would be lovely if you ask them via Classroom or Moodle. I will answer it. So thank you for your attention. Goodbye, guys.